Welcome to CHILIpulse. This is the space we created to get actionable insights on all things related to CHILIpublish. My name is Bram, I'm your host, and today with me is Serge. Welcome, Serge.
Hi, Bram.
You are our senior product advocate.
Correct, yes.
Maybe for the listeners, can you explain what is a senior product advocate? What is a day in your life at a company?
Well, there's multiple things actually. It's assisting our sales team with pre-sales tasks, so meaning getting along together with prospects, investigate their use cases, and then provide a demo or a POC towards them that is matching what actually they are looking for. It's also partly assisting our marketing teams with sessions like this. And of course, assisting our customer success team towards giving training towards our new customers and onboarding them as well.
I guess because it's the senior part, because you're well knowledged in a product, people know how to find you and where to find you when it's product related.
Indeed.
Which is perfectly a good bridge for today, because today we're going to talk about how to quickly, between brackets, make an animated digital smart template.
Mm-hmm.
Why would people need a digital or an animated template?
Well, I think it's the logical step moving from print today towards the digital world. So more and more when you go on Facebook, Instagram, or any other social media channel, or even on a simple website, you see today animations going from one end to the other. And with Chili Graphics, you can automate that kind of stuff. So
yeah. In a previous episode, we talked about the automating part as well, but today we want to go into the tiny details or a bit high-level concepts, what it takes to make an animated template. You talked about print and digital.
Correct.
Does that mean that you can combine these?
Yes, indeed, and I have something on my laptop as well, so I can show you guys on how we can quickly create those animated smart templates combined with our existing graphics publisher library, where you can just upload your assets into and then actually using those assets inside your animated content.
So does that mean that you can reuse the same assets you used for print also for digital?
Indeed, if they're suitable for that matter, you can just use your existing library and just use them directly inside your animated content.
So my second question would have been, how do you import those assets? But in many cases, they will already be in your DAM system probably.
And either in your DAM system, either in your library that you have inside Chili already today. So might be in different locations, but you can reuse what you have already and just actually get them inside your animated content then.
Okay. So what would be then step one? Let's say you're tasked with creating an animated template. What would be step one when you dive into it?
Depends, of course, what you already have as content. So whether you have your content in your digital library or inside your DAM system, you start from there. You can just go inside GraFx Studio and start from there immediately by creating your animated banner or whatsoever that you would like to create inside it. Or if you don't have that content, then you're going to first upload your images into the library to be able to work on them later on.
So you gather all the assets, all the media that you need, and then it's time to start into the designing mode of the template.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, then let's say we have all our media ready, or what will be the next step?
Well, the next step is, of course, then go into GraFx Studio, which is one of our latest products, where you're going to say, okay, I would like to create a template. And from there on, then you will have your entire workspace where you can decide, okay, what am I going to do? What is the size that I would like to have for my advertising? What would be the goal? What would I like to achieve for that matter? And then if it's a banner or if it's a square kind of thing or a leaderboard or a skyscraper. So that kind of stuff is something that you can decide up front. It's not mandatory. You can just simply start with a very square kind of content where you then later on will say, okay, I will basically change my templates along the course to match all the other channels that I need basically.
Okay. I would say let's dive into it.
Well, what I'm first going to do is like what we discussed right here. So we're going first of all clicking on our publisher environment. So in GraFx Publisher, which is still used for print, where you can use your assets that are inside that library as well. You can go inside there. You can then say, okay, what you see on my screen right now here is my assets library. I can just go there, simply add a new folder saying, okay, let me add my product shots inside there according to a briefing from a marketeer, for example. And then in the same way as we did before, we're just going to say add new. I click on the add new button. I click here on browse, and there I get actually access towards my local machine, where I can go to the folder and decide which items I would like to go and upload. I can do it as multiple items at the same time, so I just select here 7 kind of images that I would like to upload. Chili is aware of that. It says multiple files have been selected, and when I click the add button, it's just simply uploading those right now into the environment.
And I would, just like with the DAM system, these are now available for all the other users in the same environment?
Correct. So what you see on the screen right now happening indeed is that the previews are being generated. So inside my folder now, you see all the items that I have uploaded. Those 7 items are available right now, either in GraFx Publish, where I can basically use them for print, or either in my GraFx Studio, where I can basically use them for my animation. So I'll switch over to my GraFx environment for the studio environment in this use case, where again I see at this moment, of course it's still an alpha version that I'm using at this moment, but I see there all the templates that I already have created before. And what I'm going to do from here, I'm clicking on the button Create Template, and this will immediately show my GraFx Studio environment.
So in this scenario, it starts from scratch.
In this scenario, I start from scratch. What you see on my screen right now indeed is here I have a default square kind of approach. Well, it's not really a square, it's 300 pixels by 250 pixels. And
to be correct, it's true.
Yeah, it's not really a square. So, and from there on, I can now decide what I would like to do. So first things I'm going to do here, I see a lot of new icons that I didn't have before. I have, for example, my images that are here. So the media library that we have right there. I see indeed that product shot folder that I created right now. So when I double click on that, I see those 7 items that I have uploaded. And now it's very simple. I just go inside my selection tools. You can just simply select here, I would like to add an image. You select the image box, what you would like to place inside there. You click on the image that you would like to have inside there. There we go. And then you can decide, just as what we did previously inside our other modules, you can decide how this image needs to fit inside that frame. So whether you want to fill the entire frame with the image or whether you want that image to fit inside the content of that frame. And so that's my first item already there. It's very simple. I can use something different as well. I can say, okay, let's add, for example, from a different folder inside there, the logo that we would like to have inside our design. So similar there, what I'm going to do, I create a placeholder for my logo. I click on the logo. I tell the system it needs to be fitting inside there. And now we have our logo that fits nicely, and that if, of course, I resize my frame, it will also make sure that my content in that frame will fit as well along together with it.
So that's getting the data in.
That's getting the first kind of approaches what you do when you design a template, whether it's all days InDesign, Illustrator or Photoshop or whatsoever. It's actually the same kind of approach and the same kind of feeling. So for designers, it's literally not retraining them from zero. They know the tool already, or they know the things already that they are used to work with. And it's basically getting along together here in this interface to say, okay, I need an image, or I can even add a text inside there, saying, okay, let's add a text, just a very simple text inside here that says, okay, sport like a pro, for example, because it's a sports drink we are advertising here. And similar as what we do all the time, you can decide about the font size, you can decide how big it needs to be, how it needs to be aligned, which colors you would like to use, and so on. So everything is there to make a nice animation from scratch.
Super. So we have a solid basis now, and I can imagine you can add several more pieces. But let's say this is the solid basis. I have two questions. First, you talked about several dimensions. That's one, and the second one is now to animate. And we talked about in another episode about different layouts and sizes, but we jump into that in a moment. What would be the first step? First designing those layouts, or first designing your animation?
Well, I would say first design the animation, because in that matter you already have all the elements moving around as what you think how they should behave inside the design. Of course, you can alter those movements afterwards. If you say, for example, I'm from my square, I'm creating a skyscraper, and now my bottle should not move in from the left, but from the bottom or something like that. You can still change it afterwards. Yeah. But when your animations are already inside there, you know, similar as what we did in print at the time, what is something, how it needs to behave, what kind of behavior do I would like to go to it. And from that default template that you actually created already with all the animations in there, you then can create any kind of alternative from there.
Let's try it.
Okay. So getting rid actually of my images of my image library that I had right there. And then basically I can see now here that I'm activating my timeline. Now the nice thing here is that what I did already by placing those elements inside my default template, the timeline is appearing already at full. So if I would play, nothing would happen, of course. Now you see that it's playing those entire 5 seconds, but not really anything is happening. But what I can do now is select one of my elements inside my design. For example, when I select here the bottle that I have on my screen, I can go towards my specific panel right there, which includes all the predefined animations, where again now I can decide what would I like with this bottle to happen. Do I want an intro? Do I want to emphasize it? Do I want to go an outro doing for that matter? So typically, most of the time with an animation, you want that bottle jumping into your design. So again, the final location is already set inside my template. The only thing I need to do is tell the system now how or what kind of intro would I like. In this case, I would like my bottle to fly in from the left side, for example.
So the concept is that where you put it in the beginning is the default position, and then
Correct.
you say where does it come from and where does it go to?
Indeed.
Or one or both.
Where does it come from? Where does it go to? And in the middle you can even add something fancy to say, okay, I want this bottle to pulse, to jump, to bounce, whatever.
I want attention.
I want attention, indeed. So that's what you do basically as part of the middleware, where you're going to say, okay, this needs to happen as well. And you can do it with several elements. I can do the same kind of thing with my logo and say, okay, my logo also needs an intro. So when I click on this one, I'm going to say this needs to come in from the top. And there we go. We have basically created our animation. When I click the play button, we see that the bottle indeed slides in from the left and the logo slides in from the top. And so for each and every element, I can decide, if we have a long session, what all the things needs to be happening with this kind of elements that I've placed already inside the design.
And now we have a very basic design. We could animate all the rest of it, but how would that now translate to other layouts? You talked about, okay, there's a default square-ish design.
Indeed.
If you want to make a, let's say a skyscraper.
Yeah, well, that's actually very easy. But even before that, and that's a nice thing again that you can do now. I have my design, my default design, where my bottle is on the left and my logo is on the right. Even from there, I can decide when I create here on the little plus, when I click on the little plus, you see that there's another one created, default one. And either I create my skyscraper from that matter, or I can say, okay, I'm going to use this default one for another way, where I'm just going to place my elements into different positions. So if I place my logo now on the left-hand side instead of on the right-hand side, and my bottle on the other side, and my text as well, the only thing I just need to do is click again on my animations for this one specifically, and tell the system that instead of flying in from the left, you fly in from the right now.
So it took that behavior from the master layout.
Correct.
But now you're saying in this case it needs to be different.
In this specific case, for this exactly the same template, but the elements are repositioned, it needs to be different. And when I hit the play button now by just doing what I just did there, you see that indeed everything is there. If I click back again on my initial one, I see all my elements like what we had in the beginning, and there, still clicking on it will provide that original animation. And from there on, indeed, I can create a leaderboard or a skyscraper. If I say, okay, let's go now with the skyscraper, I can rename this one and say, okay, this will be my skyscraper. Now, typically a skyscraper is a lot higher, that kind of stuff. So what I'm doing there is then clicking here on the width and the height and saying, okay, my height going to be like twice what I have today, so 500, and my width is going to be like 150. By applying this, I see that my elements are now changed position as well, so I can go inside here, put my bottle at the bottom, put my text again in the middle, changing the way my logo needs to behave as well. And now, just like what we did before already, I can adapt according towards what I did there, saying now the logo still is from the top, but the bottle, needs to fly in from the bottom. And now we have actually, in a few seconds that we were talking, our initial one that we started from, where the bottle still floats in from the left when I click on the play button. Second one that we created with exactly the same kind of things, but with the bottle flying in from the right, because my layout is a little bit kind of different. And then our skyscraper that we actually created as well, where now the bottle is flying in from the bottom, and all the rest of the animation remains the same. And what's very nice from it, that you can basically see on the side view that it's inheriting actually all those actions from the default template.
Yeah, because otherwise how do you keep track where you made some changes?
Exactly. And if for some use case or whatever I did something wrong, I can still revert back towards my original settings and say, hey, I did something very wrong there, or my positioning or my animations is not right, so I can revert back towards my original settings as well.
It's not wrong because the bottle exploded. It's just design wrong. All right.
Indeed.
No, super. That sounds, it's very quickly how you can create these designs.
Yeah, and the only thing left to do now at the end is basically save what I did. So I have multiple options to save this. When I click on the little icon right there, I can save it, of course, as being my template, but I can also export this as being an MP4 or an animated GIF, or even still as a static kind of banner where I have a PNG or a JPEG that I would like to place on my website. So when I click export as MP4, it takes a few seconds, and then automatically it will download the movie that we have created, that we are here on at this moment, and download it directly to my desktop.
Super. Now imagine that you would be a smart template designer, digital smart template designer at an agency. Where would you see the gains in your job? What would make your life better now because you know how to use this?
Well, it's basically that I don't have to repeat everything up and over again, because if you create regular animations, you start with your basic design. But if you want a skyscraper, you have, in most of the times, redo everything back again from scratch. So now in this use case, I just use my existing animation, just like what we did in the times with our print module, where you can say I have different alternate layouts. Well, it's basically pretty much the same kind of thing. I start from a basic design, which contains every element, every animation already. And from there on, I just in a few seconds can generate whatever kind of size, expression, differences in animations and everything like that I would like to have inside that.
So you have the full creative freedom, but you get rid of the boring stuff in the template.
Exactly.
And I saw you were making the drink like a pro. If you say we do a campaign drink like a beginner, would be strange, but I guess if you change that, that would change all the other outputs would be changed in one go.
Indeed. So same concept as what we have in Publisher is that we have also here variables inside our system. So we can use and put a variable inside there and make sure that the text is responding towards whatever you need.
So summing it up, for the designer, smart template design, it would mean you would spend a little bit more time in designing your smart template for these animations, but it will save you a lot of time in the end.
Exactly.
Super. Well, Serge, thank you so much for the explanation and the demo in this short amount of time. And I would say thank you for listening and watching, and hope to see you in the next episode. If you like this episode and you want to get engaged, or you have tips for improvements or changes, please let us know at pulse@chilipublish.com. Also, if you want to be informed of next episodes, please subscribe to the newsletter on the form below.